So, I know we're, not quite done yet. I believe we have 2 more episodes left to go, but, I'm just gonna give the series a 10. I'm just, I'm just gonna do that. I already gave Dr. Stone to ReZero a 10 this week. Screw it. Everybody gets a 10. Everybody gets a 10 out of 10, except for you. Other shows that don't have a 10 out of 10, just these 3. Because these 3 are God sauce. But with that said, hello everybody! Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another one of our weekly Jujutsu Kaisen discussion videos. Today we're here to talk about episode 23, The Origin of Blind Obedience Part 2. But before we get into the video proper, quick reminder if you haven't done so yet to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, let all of AniTube know that you're here, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into this thing. This is very much the Fushiguro episode. Almost said video. I mean, it kind of is a Fushiguro video. It's very Fushiguro-centric. But this is the Fushiguro episode that I craved. This is what I wanted the whole time. And my god, they go in. We basically start with, a little bit of a skirmish, right? With Itadori going up against that weird, I say weird, but, very interestingly designed curse, and then Kugisaki also goes up against a weird looking curse. He sort of looks like he belongs at the Honeybee Inn, just sort of just a character that feels like he just kind of came right out of the most fabulous burlesque place he could have possibly shown up in. He's got no shirt, but he's got the bow tie and the suspenders. I mean, in the front he looks great. In the back, that dude don't look so great, but we're not here to talk about that. We will probably be talking about that next week. Hell, I might even do a design time if that's what you guys want. But we're not here to talk about that stuff. We will talk about that stuff next week, since I assume that's what's going to be taking up next week's episode. Instead, this week I want to zero in on my boy, the man, the myth, the legend, Fushiguro. Fushiguro going toe-to-toe against a similar-looking curse to the one from the prison. I thought, when I saw the PV, that this was going to be some sort of memory whammy, somebody was taking a fear of Fushiguro's and making it flesh, right? Sort of like a Bogart or a Boggart. What did I say? Bogart? I don't know. Sort of something that scares you, but made real, right? Freaking Harry Potter. So a Boggart, whatever. That's what I thought was gonna happen. That is not what's happening. Basically, it's the Sukuna's finger is sort of making this curse, and it made it similar to the one that they faced in the prison. However, as Fushiguro rightfully figures out, this thing is way stronger. Maybe not like leaps and bounds, but significantly stronger than the one that they faced in the prison. And if you recall, Itadori and Fushiguro basically ran, or at least Itadori gave Fushiguro the all clear to run. And yeah, if you recall, didn't go so hot. Things did not go super well when they last faced off against something like this. And so now Fushiguro's on his own, since Itadori and Kugisaki are on the outside, so Fushiguro is totally on his own. And it does bring some uncomfortable flashbacks with it. And I feel like this is why we see more flashbacks this episode, but rather why we see the Gojo flashback in particular. Because I feel like once he gets, again, this curse, I probably have it up on the screen, this curse gets real up close and personal with our boy. It ain't pleasant. And this thing just rockets Fushiguro clean across the expanse, and pretty much I think by the implication he hits his head up against the back of or up against the side of the rock wall, and must have split his head open to some degree. Not bad. I've done that, by the way. That's not pleasant. No. But he ends up cracking probably the back of his skull a bit, and it results in Fushiguro basically just coming back to this flashback with Gojo, where he is being trained by Gojo. And I'm just gonna put up this picture of Gojo for no other reason than my man's is pretty. Just because. Listen, I may be ace, but even I get thirsty sometimes, and goddamn, they serving looks with Gojo every week. Every time this man's on screen, he just be serving looks. But we flash back to Fushiguro training with Gojo, which was a bit of a surprise, where Gojo says, are you really that concerned that Itadori is, getting ahead of you? And he's like, well, extra training can't hurt. And he's like, okay, but you never asked me to train with you. So, like, you must be hella concerned. And in fairness, why wouldn't he be? Itadori is growing exponentially. Like, Itadori is getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and eventually Fushiguro might not be able to catch up unless he starts catching up ASAP, right? It's sort of the Vegeta problem. And this is not the only time I'm going to mention Dragon Ball, just as a heads up. But this is sort of like the Vegeta problem, where all of a sudden this person is forced to train in order to catch back up. There's going to be a problem with that I'm going to talk about in a bit. But Gojo basically points out and hammers home the idea that when you're out there, it's good that you're relying on your friends, right? Like, and Fushiguro even says, like, well, I mean, it's a good thing that I rely on the others. And Gojo's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, Jujutsu sorcery is not a team sport. It's solo, right? And he says, like, when we were playing baseball, and I'm like, oh my god, they made the baseball episode relevant to the plot, but, which is, again, I love that episode, but again, the fact that it all ties together, it's like poetry, it rhymes. And him saying, like, when we were playing baseball, you bunted, which is fine, right? But when you bunted, you did it as a sacrificial play, right? Like, you made the sacrifice play, which you guys know, it's a shonen series, so I do love the sacrifice play because it plays with your emotions and it plays with your heart. But he says, like, you made the sacrifice play when you didn't have to. Because the difference between Itadori and I versus you is that we always hit for the home run. You bunted, knowing it was going to get you killed, but it did move Kugisaki up a base. So yeah, you did the right thing for the team in that moment, and that's great and all. But Itadori hit a home run and kept everybody alive. He could have missed, right? He could have struck out, and that would have been bad, but he still hit the home run anyway. You bunted, which you had an easier time bunting, but you could have hit a home run there. And it would have been riskier, but maybe everybody would have been safe, right? And so he's basically telling him, like, it's good that you rely on your teammates. However, the one thing you got to remember about this gig, everybody dies alone, right? And that is scary to think about, like, the idea of, like, everybody dies alone, dude. Like, every sorcerer dies alone. And I don't know if, as the show goes on, we'll start to see that, which has me nervous because don't say anything. I was going to say, a lot of manga fans, I got to praise the Jujutsu Kaisen manga fans, by the way. I think I've only had one person be an a-hole and spoil something. But for the most part, people have been very good about, like, I had one dude get mad at me and basically just wrote spoiler in his comment. Thankfully, I read the first spoiler and just went, no, and stopped reading the rest of the comment and banned that idiot. But I do know one thing that happens to a character down the line. And so I am concerned about this whole, like, everybody dies alone thing. But I will say that the Jujutsu Kaisen fandom as a whole, I got nothing but good things to say about you guys. You guys treated me well. You indulged my shippingness. You indulged my interest in the Baikon that is Fushiguro. I appreciate you guys. Everybody's been super cool to me. And you guys have let me talk about my anime-only theories without actually spoiling it. And some people have actually said, like, well, you do get your answer in the manga, but I'm not going to tell you if you're right or wrong. And those are the kind of comments that I like, where it's like, you hinted at something here. I'm not going to say what it is because I hate when people timestamp, right? Like, when they timestamp and be like, oh, ho, ho. It's like, don't timestamp because, of course, everybody's going to, like, know what I said. So that's still a spoiler if you timestamp and go, oh, ho, ho. Like, that's still a spoiler. But the comments where it's just like, you're onto something, or you're cold but you're getting there, or just like asterisk laughs in manga, which is my personal favorite. But everybody's been so super great about not spoiling things. But I am concerned. So don't spoil, but I am concerned about this whole dies alone thing. But it's interesting, right? Because he hammers home that there's a difference between what Fushiguro is doing versus what Itadori's doing. Because Fushiguro almost kind of has like a death wish, whereas Itadori, he wants to protect everybody, sure, and he's willing to sacrifice himself if it comes to that, but he doesn't want to die, right? And that's the difference. And Gojo hammers it home with the line that I wrote down here. Dying to win and risking death to win are completely different, Megumi, right? And to me, this is where Dragon Ball comes back in, this is giving me Goku vibes, in the sense that Goku once told Vegeta that, like, it doesn't matter if he gets an extra day in the time chamber to train for a full year, because at some point, training that hard is just torture. And you're not actually gaining anything. You're just hurting yourself. And it's, like, the reason why I bring that up is because, while, yeah, there's sort of different vibes, it's still hammering home this idea that you can push yourself too far to the point where it's only detrimental, right? And Fushiguro is like, I have to be better, and if I can't be better, then I at least have to sacrifice myself to help the people who are better. To help my friends, I will gladly sacrifice myself in order to do that. And that's great and all, but you're not thinking long-term here. You can be better by gradually increasing your strength without sacrificing yourself. You can continue to get better and better and better. You're pushing yourself to this degree where you're only hurting yourself. And I think Gojo saying, like, it's great that you want to be, that you're just dying to win, right? Like, the idea that you're comfortable with dying to win. That's cool and all. But there's a big difference between that and just risking death to win. There's a huge difference, right? Like, you being comfortable with death is the thing that's holding you back. Like, you can be stronger than this by, like, having that will to keep going, that will to live. That's what gives Itadori that edge. He doesn't want to die. He wants to fight so he can keep going, right? He's scared of dying, just like every other sorcerer. He doesn't want to die. Fushiguro was comfortable with that, and that almost became a hindrance. And, again, it sort of gave me Goku vibes, where it's like you're only hurting yourself. I just thought that was really cool, and I wanted to talk about it because I like anytime I can make some Dragon Ball parallels in modern day shonen, because I love Dragon Ball, even if it is kind of messy as it goes. But I still love it to pieces. That said, that flashback does trigger something in Fushiguro that I loved, and that was this big moment where he gleefully says, "Screw it." Boom, 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 does the Naruto hand signals, does the hand signs, and then domain expansion, Chimera Shadow Garden. And this boy goes to work. Like, Fushiguro just goes to town. Like, whoops this thing ass, takes this thing to prom, drops him off, doesn't even pay. Just, pff. Again, Olin Rogers quotes, because it's worth it. Like, my man just destroys him. And you know who made this scene all the better? And I feel like most seasons I'm on my A game, right? Most seasons I have my book full of research, where I have, like, the director, the chief animation director, most seasons I'm on my A game, right? I have a book full of info, right? I'll research shows coming out next season the entire season before, right? I'll have, like, a list of the staff, a list of the cast, what they've been in, what I know them from, what they excel in, what they don't, right? And so I'll have this big list of things. And this season I don't have that. And I'll also have, like, look up stuff that Sakugaboru has. If the episode's been up for long enough, I'll, like, check on Sakugaboru to see which animator worked on what scene and blah, blah, blah. And I haven't been doing that because this season, if I'm honest with you guys, I was way behind on my research and I just didn't feel like doing it. It's why there hasn't been a whole lot of character design time lately, because I haven't really had a lot of info on who's designing what in the different shows this season. However, because of that, I feel like I want to sing this man's praises because I didn't really get the chance to before. That is the director, Sung-Hoo Park. Because not only has this man's direction this season been fantastic, like, absolutely fantastic. You give this man a good, like, you give this man a good team of writers. Like, you put somebody good on series composition. You give him some good source material to work with. Park in that state is like Ultra Instinct, right? Like, Park in that state. Okay, regular Park, right? If he has, like, decent source material, kind of a wishy-washy series composer. And if you don't know what series composer is, it's not the person in charge of music. That's just basic. That's just composer. Series composition means that you're the head writer, basically. So a head writer's job is just to adapt the manga properly. That is a goddamn art. Like, adapting a manga is very tricky, and not everybody can do it. Taku Kishimoto is one of my favorite series composers because he always knows how to, like, what to bring from a manga over, what not. And the last time we saw Park work on something, like that, where they had sort of a wishy-washy series composition. I can't remember the name of the person because I would give them shit for it, but it was the God of High School. That composition was awful. Although I kind of have to give them some credit. I assume that like they were told to get to this point in the series, and they had to cut things that they didn't need to cut and all this stuff, and the series composition was a mess. So if you take Park in that form, the action's still good. He can still direct action like a pro. But I would put Park in terms of like Goku power level, right? I would put Park at like a Super Saiyan 3. You know, it's flashy. You know, like Park is like a Super Saiyan 3 if you give him like sort of mediocre source material, mediocre series composition, right? Flashy, it's powerful, but it takes a lot to get going, and it is kind of just a flash in the pan, right? Not a lot there. Give him some solid source material. Give him a solid series composer. Gold. I'm talking this man goes from that to like Super Saiyan Blue, if not Ultra Instinct. In fact, I would dare say, like, Park has been on his Ultra Instinct shit all season. He's been absolutely brilliant. And I think given good source material, given a good series composer, he's on Ultra Instinct level. And what pushes him to that point is the fact that there have been, not only like this time, 4 other times prior, where Park has decided to actually not only direct, but also hop on for key animation. That is so cool to me. The idea that he's like, you know what, I'm not just going to bark orders at you. I'm gonna show you how it's done, right? Like the fact that Park's like, I'm gonna jump on for key animation at specific points. I believe I believe he did episode 20, I think episode 7, and then I forget the other ones. And this one, he's in charge of, from what I could gather from Sakaguboru, most of the Chimera Shadow Guard. Like most of the domain expansion that we see from Fushiguro this week, that was actually Park animating it. And in fairness, I can see it, right? Like I can kind of see his hand. And the more I think about it, there's scenes that sort of felt like this, not only from this season, but in other shows that he's done. So I get it. And I just wanted to give him credit and I want to apologize for not giving him credit where I should have. And the other animators who I haven't given credit for because I should have. I've been slacking this season and I apologize. So I had to give Park some credit. I think he's one of the most interesting directors I've seen in a while, and my eye is on him very much so in the future. I already thought Park was a good action director, but this show just pushed him over the top. I'm going to be watching this man like a hawk to see what else he's going to work on. And give him some credit. Not only is he a great director, he's a damn good animator. Like the key animation in this scene, the domain expansion, just like look at the keyframe of the friggin' face. Like just look at the key art of his face. Like it just looks so. Fushigiro's never been sicker. This whole fight was absolutely brilliant, and like the whole domain expansion thing. I just had to give it credit, and I had to gush about it for like a lot longer than I planned to. It's pretty much the whole video, just because I think Park did a phenomenal job, and I thought the whole scene was great. I love that like by the end, Fushiguro like is just spent, right? He just passes right the hell out, just conks right out, and he has the Sukuna finger, and he's like, I gotta figure out what to tell you, Itadori. I'm just take a nap. He just like passes right the hell out, and I don't blame him because that was a well-earned nap, my boy. Enjoy that nap. I wish you were sleeping on a bed of like I wish you were sleeping on memory foam, my dude. I wish you were sleeping on memory foam with those big, comfy hotel blankets. I wish you were sleeping somewhere comfortable instead of beside a creek bed, man. Because like Fushiguro deserves the nicest of sleeps after that. Obviously, there is other stuff that happened this week. There's a lot of other stuff that happened this week. This week actually delved into not only Fushiguro's origins, with his sister, but like a whole bunch of stuff with his dad. He was basically sold off. Gojo and Jujutsu Tech basically jumped in, but with the caveat that while he wouldn't be sold to the Zenin clan, and I saw some people think that I missed the Zenin clan thing. It's just I just didn't know if I didn't miss it. I just wasn't sure if we were talking about the same clan, because I was like, wait, like Mai and Maki? That's weird. So are like they cousins? Interesting. So this week confirmed it. But I was always like Zenin clan. Oh, I just didn't mention it in a video because I was like I just didn't want to sound stupid. If I'm honest, I know I sound stupid most of the time, but I just don't want to sound stupid. But yeah, like that's all cool. That's interesting. I don't have as much to say about that as I did about the domain expansion, just because I thought that was super cool. But I do think that Fushiguro's origins only continue to paint him in not only a sympathetic light, but a really interesting one. I think Fushiguro might be one of like the more interesting shonen deuteragonists that we've seen, right? Like we've had Itadori prove that Itadori is like just a really, really good shonen protagonist, right? Like just a super solid one. The show itself, like I've said that like if series like My Hero or Yaiba perfect the shonen model, then Jujutsu Kaisen flips it on its head and shows like Dr. Stone just take it and run in a totally different direction, right? Like shows like Stone or Kaguya and like sort of like the non-battle shonen battle, like non-battle battle anime, you know what I mean? Like not non-battle battle shonen. They just take it and run in a different direction. Jujutsu Kaisen doesn't run in a different direction. It just does something different. It just flips it on its head in a really interesting way. And I think that Fushiguro really takes like the typical deuteragonist role of like, I'm the rival to the main character, and really flips it in an interesting way where they never feel antagonistic, right? It never feels like Itadori and Fushiguro aren't friends. It always feels like they're friends, but there is this underlying drive to catch up to Itadori, and I thought that it was really nailed in the domain expansion, but also throughout the origin story as well. Like you get why he's feeling the way he's feeling based off his past, and I just thought this episode was absolutely fantastic. So, with that said, everybody, that is going to wrap up today's video here. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot, share if you care, leave a comment down below, and of course, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, let all of AniTube know that you're here. And of course, before we go, as always, I want to give a big, big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at all these beautiful names, and hey, if you would like to join these beautiful people, there are 2 ways to do so. The first is by hitting that join button right beside the sub button. That gets you a badge next to your name, some emotes to spam in the comments, and of course your name scrolling past the screen here. Or you could check out that Patreon link in the description. Either way, it is super, super appreciated. So once again, a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. And that is it for me this week. This episode was too good. This episode was too good. This show was too good. I can't believe we're almost at the end. I'm gonna miss this show terribly. Anyway, bye!